Today on the workbench, I've got something a little different here. What I am going to do is show you how I make my lights for my Athearn cabs. Let's see. See that there? Okay. So what we'll be using to do this with is I'll be using these small LEDs. I get these off of eBay. I think for 50 of them you can get them for like $5. I can't remember what the price was. I've had them for a while. I'll be using some Plastistrut, and this is 1/16 inch acrylic rod. I've used fiber optic cable also, and either way, I mean this rod, this is all this rod is, and it will fit right into the blue box cab. This is off of an a GP 39, but I think most of the cabs are the same. The SD40-2s, GP 38s. I know I've done several, and they're all the same, and you can interchange the cabs. But the other things I'll be using, well, the other thing I've got some, get that right there, that's 3/32 heat shrink tubing. And then I have 1/8 inch heat shrink tubing. I'll be using, and let's see, the yellow is the rear for a rear light, blue is common, and white is for the front headlights. So I'll be doing that, and then I will use as a resistor, and I didn't have it laid out, but I'll be using a 480 ohm resistor, or 470 ohm resistor for these. So I'll dig 2 of those out. Those are 470 ohm resistors. Put this away. So there's our 2 resistors. Set those off to the side, and I've already dug 2 lights out of the package, and I've got one actually in the holder, and I've already fluxed these up, and I've also went ahead, and my wire that we'll be using, this is a 36 gauge wire. I've also stripped and tinned the ends of those. I didn't figure you'd want to see me do that. I've done that in other videos. But if you look at these lights, let me see if I can get this focused. On that light, the back of that light, you can see an arrow. The flat part of that arrow, which would be back here, that is the positive side, or the common side, and that'll be what our blue wire hooks to. So let's go ahead, and I'll tin this light up. So I've got my solder here, and I've already fluxed this. So just a drop of solder is all it takes. The other side. do this first side again. Make sure I've got enough solder on it. Okay. Clean that tip off. And you probably didn't even see that. Okay. Turn my other light on here. And that throws too much light on it there. Anyway, I am going to solder my white lead. Okay, there's that. Then I can solder my common. Turn this around. And this is hard to do to where you can actually see me do it. Because I'm filming from overhead. Well, the first one I didn't have any trouble with. Okay. So, I've got that done. Those are both soldered. Now what I'll do is I'll take and trim my excess off of those. Okay. So there's the light soldered on. Now what I do with that. All right. We'll get a piece of our 3/32 tubing, and I've cut some of that. Those are 1/2 inch long roughly. Make sure I get my flat side. And what I do, after I get those lined up, and we'll trim those off to the same length. And then take the 3/32 tubing and I put those in there about as far as I can get them. Okay, that'll be far enough. I can always trim off the excess. So I've probably got 1/8 of an inch in there. All right, now I'll take my 1/8 inch tubing and slide that up in there, the light up in there. You can still see that, and I am back in there, quarter inch or so. I'll take this piece. Now I'm going to trim this heat shrink down some. Actually, I'm going to trim it to the end of the lights. So there's what I've got so far. And then I'll take and I just put that right down in there. I'll have my light up in there. You can see the light. And that will basically be it. Then I'll take my soldering iron, okay, so I have that. Now I'll move this around a little bit. Crazy wire in the way. Okay. So that is a completed light section. Now I can take and, well, actually it's not complete. I haven't put the resistor in yet, and I'll put that on the blue side, on the common side. I should have prepped that already. That way you wouldn't have to watch me prep that. But since I didn't, there's that. What am I looking for here? Looking for my flux. Put some flux on that. Clean that tip. Okay, so I've got that fluxed in there. Let's strip this off real quick. And then I have some small heat shrink tubing. And we'll put that down on here. Break out the soldering iron again. Oh, I didn't flux that. I didn't flux it or tin it. There's that. Slide the heat shrink up on there. Okay, so there's that. And I am going to strip the end off of this end just a little bit, because I do want to test this, and I'm going to put some flux on that and tin that just so it'll be a little neater. Okay. Now, let me get my cab back out here, and you can see the gap there in between, and then that really doesn't have a gap. I have found that the end that I cut off of the resistor, if I take that and stick it down in there just like that, that will spread that tubing just enough to get it where I need it. So let's go ahead and put these in this cab, and we'll test it out. Okay, I've got that stuck down in there, or stuck in there. Let me pull my wire out. I'll take my pliers and push those through just a little more. And now this cab, you can see it doesn't have any lenses in it, but I take the lenses out and I save them, and I do have the lenses, so you can see that this is in here, and I'll make a little cover for that too, that way the light won't bleed through. But for right now, let's go ahead and test this. And I just hooked this up to a little battery. Get all my wires straightened out. This was actually a little battery pack out of a set of off-road lights. And it works fairly well. It holds it's an A23 cell. I think it's a 9-volt cell, if I remember right. So I've got all that hooked up, my resistor in there, and I should be able to hit the button and there should be some light. There you go. And that you would have, if I didn't put anything, there would be some light bleed through. But that works really well. Now these are kind of a blue, they do have a bluish tint to them, but I don't mind that. But that's the quick and dirty on that. So I can make up some more for the front and back, or for the back, and I'll have this set ready to go when I do another install on a locomotive. So that takes care of that. And we can adjust some of the voltages to get that brightness down. But all right, well, thanks for watching.